us anymore.
Not tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Not yet. One more moment. Orientation. All right, we're live.
We're good?
We're good.
Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing tonight? My name is Cesar Suriga, and I am Chair of the Education and Youth Committee. And before we get started with the meeting, I'm gonna allow Julio. Julio, do you wanna just start with anything as our Chair of the committee?
Good evening. Julio Peña, Chair SDB7. I just wanted to say, I'm very glad we're having this meeting. It is a little nostalgic. I remember sitting in this room, probably maybe 18 or 19 years old, when as high school in this community was not even built yet. So I think this is a long overdue conversation, a very important one. And look forward to hearing from community residents on how they're feeling and the status of the school as it is currently, because a lot of sweat and tears went into the school building. And it's important that it's continuing the model of what this community fought so hard for. So thank you.
Thank you, Julio. Okay, so let's get started. We have a couple of items on the agenda. Before we get there, though, I just want to make a couple of just housekeeping announcements. So one of the things that we value on this community board is transparency and accountability. And so you're going to see the monitors. You're going to see that we're recording this. We're transmitting this on YouTube. You're going to see some microphones along the room back there and up here. We're going to insist that everyone is speaking to the microphone so that folks who are listening to us outside of this room can actually hear what everyone is saying. I know, given the nature of what we're going to talk about, there has been some commentary about the discomfort with the cameras. Unfortunately, again, because we are a government agency, we have to abide by our open meeting rules. And so we will definitely not be shutting cameras down, unfortunately, for folks who feel whatever you feel about speaking in public. Again, this is a public forum, so we need to continue to have those on. I guess the other thing that I wanted to just briefly touch upon is I want us to have a conversation. I fully agree with Julio about the importance of having this conversation tonight. I know there are a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, and that's cool with me. I think that should be cool with all of us. What I will say though is let's try to give each other grace, and let's try to create an atmosphere where people feel safe around speaking up and speaking their truth. We want to hear people's truth, but we also want to remain respectful to one another. And so what I would ask you to do is, if you want to challenge an idea, not a person. And again, I think what I also want to make sure people understand is that tonight is not necessarily going to be a situation where we walk out of this room with a resolution. I want to make sure that folks are open to the idea that this is the beginning of a process. I think, to sort of echo what Julio said, from the community board perspective, this is a really important anchor institution in our community. We fought really hard. There are lots of new faces in this room. There's some other faces that have been around just as long as we have, possibly longer. And so it's it's really important for us to make sure that we continue to advocate for the types of, in this case, educational institutions that we deserve in this community. And I think this model, given the given how much it really seeks to honor the idea of community-led, community building around supporting an educational institution, we should all feel really proud of that, and we should fight for that, whatever that means, right? We should fight to make sure that we get the kind of equitable education that all of our kids deserve. So I'm going to leave it there. And the first thing on the agenda that I think, and I'm looking for Emily, is not so contentious and controversial. And so I want to start with giving the floor to Emily to talk about the naming of one of our new elementary schools. So please come up and introduce yourself and maybe use that microphone. The one,
Okay.
we have the wireless.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
I'm
Emily.
gonna turn me to this. 'Cause
No.
I'm not gonna-
Good evening. Yes, I think this will be a little bit more on the lighthearted side. So I'm glad to kick it off. My name is Emily Shapiro. I'm the principal of PS 958, which is the elementary school that opened in September on 36th and 5th. And so we've been going through a process to name our school building, which really started at the very beginning of this work last January, and we're finally kind of conclusion. Sorry, I'm nervous. So I just wanted to share a little bit of where we landed. There's any interest in discussion about to do it, and if we all leave here unanimously agreeing, then we'll be moving forward with the meeting. So the school started by creating an open to the whole community for suggestions. After we reviewed all the suggestions of staff, there was one name that came up a lot more than others. Kind of agreed that that was the best choice. We then opened it up to more families in our community, and there was unanimous agreement there as well. And so this is kind of the last phase of the process. And so the name that we've agreed on is Dr. Antonia Pantoja. Dr. Pantoja was a civil rights leader, an educator, an advocate for Latin youth. She was a founding member of Aspira, and she was part of the civil rights lawsuit that ensured bilingual education in New York. So a lot of important. And I wanted to read, we got a lot of letters of support. So wonderful that I shared with our community business, but I really wanted to share this excerpt from the Alliance for Puerto Rican Education Empowerment. Hopefully will set the stage for the rest of this conversation as well. Representation matters, and naming PS 9 most certainly have a great benefit for students, especially bilingual students, students of color, and students with it is commonplace for students to be educated in buildings named after colonizers, slaveholders, and people who held the belief system. Lauding the accomplishments of this individuals without reckoning with their full history, coupled with a lack of ubiquitous examples of edifices named after extraordinary people of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, leads to ignorance and cultural erasure. To be sure, no one's ignorance history is perfect, but we must be committed to telling their whole stories, foibles and all. But we must also be committed to telling stories from diverse experience. Naming a building is a small gesture to accomplish significant. Dr. Antonia Pantoja was not only a groundbreaking visionary, educator, social worker, civil rights leader, she was also a bilingual person of color and a member of the LGBTQ plus community. For students who identify with traditionally marginalized communities, this gesture can make students feel seen, and their story is worthy of inclusion as part of the American. Naming PS 958 after Dr. Pantoja would communicate our commitment as a society to fight for social justice, unconditionally love ourselves, each other, and to bear witness by speaking truth to power and demanding real change. So I think as a school, we're also trying to show that a key component of strong education is that it's a community-led effort, and that the community can support the school, and the school can also support the community. And so I think both as a process by which we came to the same support for this name, all of the statements that we got is statement about what the community values. And so as a school, we want to have that. We're teaching our students how to advocate for themselves and for their communities, just like Dr. pointed out. And so we have to stay in school and hopefully great students will continue to life.
Thank you, Emily. Sounds awesome. So I will entertain if you want to answer one or two questions, if anybody has one or two questions that I'll entertain it. Before we go to questions, and I'll recognize you first, Pat. We have a long way to go to dismantle white supremacy in our education system. To really center equity in a real way. We have a long, long way to go to decolonize how we teach kids. But this is a good start because it matters that kids and families see themselves represented in the institutions that are so critical to our communities. So this is a great start, but again, I just want to remind us all that we have a long way to go, and I'm looking forward to doing that work together with all of you. So Pat.
I guess I need a mic.
Right.
I'm going to stand. My name is Pat Lewis. I am second vice chair here at Community Board 7, and I'm also president of the Boricua School Committee. And I am super excited, super emotional. 8 years ago, our committee brought this to this room to get a school named Dr. Atalanta. And one of my personal reasons for it was because the previous school, named after Luis Munoz Marin, disappeared. That was a school that recognized the Puerto Rican community here in Sunset Park, not taking away from the beautiful diversity that we have here right now, but I personally took it as our mission to get this done again. I am so glad that I took that chance and I reached out to Camille and to you, and grateful to the board for the support, for our councilwoman, our former councilperson, and everyone in this room and everyone everywhere. Thank you so very much. Definitely got the ball rolling.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Can you walk us through what the, because we know, I mean, naming a school is not a simple process. So can you walk us through what's next in the naming process?
Sure. Well, I want to, this is a good opportunity to clarify something, which is that we have two things to do. One is for the building, and then actually one will be for the school itself. And the school construction authority has started asking schools to name those two things separately because many schools are co-located, so there are three schools in the building. So this process, the building name is going to be after Sonia Pentola, so that leaves room for changes, you know, if we're not going anywhere. But if we were to, or if we were to add another school to the building, that identity is there no matter what. So I think the next step that I submitted after approval from everybody here today is that and have some kind of honoring celebration for sure. I think it will be into the summer before that happens. So.
Cynthia?
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Felix, and I'm actually the vice president of the Puerto Rican Department, which that you read an excerpt for. I would like to thank you for engaging the community process and asking to be involved. When you first started the school, you engaged knowing about the school. So I want to commend you for reaching out to the community and the process. It really is someone who grew up in Sunset Park, schools and middle high schools in Sunset Park, and knowing there's not one school named after some color or woman really affected. So knowing that now we will have one, and we're starting the ball rolling with that one. To other ones we could do as well, but I just wanted to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Emily, I echo that. You have really, in a very sincere way, you engaged the community, and I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, before we get going, I want to recognize our council person, Alexa Aviles. Would you like to come up and say a few words before we start?
Thank you, thank you. Oh, hello, hi everyone, how are we doing today?
Excellent.
We're good? We're quiet, we need coffee and chocolate. We just approved the naming of a school of Dr. Montoya. Thank you, Pat. And obviously, thank you to the school community, the principal. You have always been first from the moment the school was conceived. So thank you for that leadership. That is the kind of leadership we exemplify here. In our community, everything is done with a lot of love and grace, and fortunately, it takes a long time. But we persevere, right? And we're persistent. So, for those of you who I haven't met, I'm your council member. It's good to see you. Good to be in this great room where lots happens all the time. And just, really excited to hear. I'm here to, obviously, I couldn't miss this naming possibility, but also to talk about the high school. And I want to hear from you all. You know, our offices are on 4th Avenue between 44th and 45th. Please engage, come in, email, whatever form of communication strikes your fancy. We will respond. And there's a lot happening in the neighborhood. So please don't hesitate to ask, don't hesitate to lean into conversation if you have any kind of preoccupation. So with that, I'd like to thank the board, always, all the board members, the new board members, welcome. Thank you to the district manager and the team here that is doing work for our community. And I guess by that, so we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Would like to just say something very briefly, John?
So we're running on our backup technology today. I just want to make sure, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this before, council member. This is our camera, so when you're standing here, we're just going to see your back. So I would encourage anybody to be over here.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's get to the next agenda item, which is a conversation about the Sunset Park High School. I'm just gonna call folks up. If you want to be recognized, just raise your hand. We're here to listen. We're gonna do 3 minutes of comment, right, for each individual.
You get to set the rules.
Great, ooh, love that. Let's take you to sort of the convention around here. We'll do 3 minutes for each speaker. That's sort of the convention that we stick to when we have public meetings. So 3 minutes. We are not in a position to answer questions. That's not what the purpose of today is. So it's just public comment. You can tell us whatever you feel like telling us. I think though what I'll do is recognize Julie first to give a bit of a historical context to the development of the high school, because I think that's really important context. I know some of you educators are steeped in the history, but some folks who are in the room are not. So Julie, you wanna? Yeah.
So hi, everybody here. And thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for allowing us to have time together. For those of you who are familiar with the history, this will be familiar, but for those who aren't, this is a community story that's really important that we keep going. So for 38 years, our community was with school. And when Alexa was saying we do things, it's a long time, we hung in there and fought through the incredible bureaucracy to get a high school built. That took decades and generations of this community. Once we got commitment for that to happen in 2005, we spent 3 years in a community process in this room, in weekly and monthly meetings in committees to design a school that would honor our children and give them the best quality equity education that they long deserved. And many of you in this room were part of that effort. This is the only high school in New York City that evolved and developed in that way. We have been sought out by other neighborhoods. How did you get the neighborhood involved? How did you do all of that? We spent many months. We visited many schools across the city, a committee of us, to determine what were the kinds of curriculum, structure, et cetera, that would best meet the needs of our community. When our school opened, we selected, our community board had a seat at the table selecting the principal. That was the founding principal of that school. That is unheard of. And that was because we had so much community voice and pressure and love. Dennis Walcott was the then chancellor, and he came to this neighborhood and was greeted by students singing in the streets. And to this day, he says, "Oh, Sunset Park, those are the kids that sing in the streets." They wanted a high school so badly. We led with love and not with anger, and we need to continue to lead with love and not with, as upsetting as what's going on now is. Say that the first 5 years of the school, led by the principal we selected, school exceeded every single outcome that anybody asked for. We were selected as a school of opportunity. We're a silver medal winner. We exceeded all of the outcomes that DOE said, "Oh, you're going to have too many English language learners, and you're going to have too many students with IEPs, and they're not going to be college-going kids." We proved that wrong. And I hope you'll hear today from some of the graduates of the first class of that school and what it's done. I just want to say it was the highlight of my professional career to be a leader of that task force along with all of you. There was nothing more amazing than what school is, and it still has an ember burning of that. But we've lost our way, and we need help from the community to get back on track, because this is a school that was founded, SPHS, successful partnership with the community, high expectations, and service to the local and global world. The school was designed to be a resource to the community, and the community a resource to the school. On a 9-point resolution that this community board adopted unanimously, point number 8, I'm just going to ask Cesar to read that.
The Sunset Park High School will be expected to collaborate with community organizations, businesses, and other local resources to enrich the learning environment during the school day and in the after-school evening.
That was a non-negotiable. It continues to be a non-negotiable, but we need to ensure that that dream of what those non-negotiables, whatever that is, that we preserve. I have great hope. We have amazing young people that have been through 14 years of graduates of that school, and I have tremendous faith in the strength of community over the Department of Education. We never would have gotten that school if we fell in line for the Department of Ed. We got that school because the community stood strong and just to find what our kids need, and we need your help to do that again tonight. So I thank you for being here. I look forward to hearing from you. And we're also open to some questions about the process. There's a lot of different stakeholders here, and so I will turn the mic back over. Thank you.
Thank you for that very important context. And with that, then we'll open it up. Again, if you want to be recognized, just raise your hand. And then when you get to the mic, just tell us your name, your address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak your mind. Calm down, everyone. Please don't jump out of your seats all at once.
Can I get started?
Go right ahead, please.
You can stay there. Unless you want to.
Hi, I'm Dan Weaver, a teacher at Sunset Park High School. I teach art, and I also do an after-school program called Makers Club. It's just kind of like an open studio where students can walk in and make whatever they want. It's like a creative space for students. I think we just heard from a principal that seems very receptive to the community voice and honoring what a community is all about. We just heard from Julie Stein-Brockway, amazing human being who I think has been the backbone of our school ever since its foundation. I've been at the school for 9 years now. It feels like I've been there for like my whole life and then some. And that's because I think the neighborhood is so rich and the community is so rich, and the students bring all of that to us. And my life has been better because of the students I've encountered through my career there. We're here. I requested to be a part of this meeting and I emailed you all because we believe that the spirit that Sunset Park High School has been built on is lost. Our principal, Ms. Victoria Antonini, has been principal for 9 years. And I think over those 9 years, the school has steadily seen the spirit crushed. I think the sense of community has diminished. I think we have created a wall around the school where we don't allow anyone to really penetrate that, with the excuse that maybe because they're not the DOE or because they're not as experienced in the in and outs of education, that maybe they don't really understand what they're talking about. And we're here because we disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think the Sunset Park High School staff is educators. We held a vote of no confidence against our principal. 97% of our staff voted in favor of the no confidence. 109 teachers out of 113 staff members. We're here because we want to make sure that those voices are heard by the community. We want to make sure that the community understands that we do not want to disrespect or dishonor what Sunset Park High School is about. We're here because we want to make sure that we carry on the foundation of the school and that we continue to honor the community. And what we're here for is to say that we want to make sure that we can move forward with a leader who also honors.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that testimony. Hey, who's next? All right. Jeremy, yeah. Your name and address, yeah.
My name is Brian Oostreich. I reside at 221 McDonald Avenue. I've been a high school social worker for 19 years now. I was a founding member of Sunset Park High School for 14 years. 14 years ago this month, I was among the first half dozen educators hired to open Sunset Park High School. We met weekly after school hours just down the street at the old Central Family Life Building to start enacting the vision of what the Sunset Park had advocated for over 30 years, community high school to call their own. The amount of hope and energy and enthusiasm in that room was palpable. Starting a brand new school in a brand new building with all new staff, creating all the systems from the ground up was incredibly rewarding and a lot of work. School staff, along with CFL staff, worked collaboratively to establish mutual trust so that we could support one another and our students and families in these early years. As educators, we know that our students will not be successful if our classroom isn't a safe space in which to learn. That sense of safety is built through earning students' trust from not only what we say, but also how we act and treat one another. From the smallest gesture of greeting students with a smile, remembering details about their personal lives and interests, to providing feedback on assignments, that trust is earned. Unfortunately, as educators, we do not have that same trust. We work so hard to establish with our students and one another with our own school leader, Vicki Antonini. Vicki was the founding assistant principal when I was hired, and she became the principal 9 years ago. She had 14 years worth of opportunities to work collaboratively and earn the trust of everyone she's helped hire and work alongside with, and unfortunately, the opposite has been the case. For as long as I've worked with her, she has been seen as someone who is not safe to ask questions to, nor is she someone who has been open to listening to suggestions. Staff have felt routinely dismissed, publicly humiliated in front of colleagues and students, and treated and spoken to unprofessionally. There have been days over this time that I've consoled nearly as many adults in my office than students after hurtful interactions with her. This issue of mistrust and unprofessionalism is not new. Back in 2016, the school survey that administered in all DOE schools, only 33% of staff felt that the principal was someone they could discuss their worries or frustration with. That's not the safety or trust Sunset Park High School or any school for that matter deserves. I will cut that back. Now, some 7 years later, 97% of the staff no longer has confidence in Vicki to lead. Standing here before you tonight, 14 years later, after all those planning sessions, I'm still filled with hope, energy, and enthusiasm for what Sunset Park High School can be. Regardless of who is the principal, the staff of Sunset Park High School will continue to show up for our students, families, and one another. Let me be clear, Sunset Park High School is a good school, but it is not a great school yet. And I can say that the vision of what we wanted Sunset Park High School has gone largely unfulfilled. We educators need to be patient and understanding with our students, but 14 years of patience and with an incompatible school leader is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on now. Anyone else? Please go ahead. And thank you.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Nieves, 4404 Sixth Avenue. I'm a community member, just slightly too old to have been an alumni at SPHS, and I work for Center for Family Life. It's been very sad seeing what's been going on at the school. Many of the students don't even know who their teacher, who the principal is. They said, I'm like, oh, the principal. They go, who? We've done our best to work with the students. They really appreciate us. And it's felt, at least to me personally, that she is actively working against the cause of helping the students by cutting our hours, by trying to kick us out of the building, not giving us proper notification for when we're going to have time to do stuff. At the beginning of the pandemic, we were told there'd be no CFL content, for them to change it 2 months later to just 15 minutes virtually, 5 of which was spent just seeing if people were there. And then it was, hi, if I'm there, all right, that's it. Hope you're doing okay in this hard time. It's been very tough to witness. The students are mad. They worry that they don't get college education. From my experience, it's been put on us as an organization to give them college education, which it should not be. We teach them many things. We try to help them. And, you know, at least meeting us halfway would be greatly appreciated. And this feels like instead of at least meeting us halfway, it's felt like an act of fight against it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, Jeremy.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Nunez, and I live on 570 54th Street. And I'm speaking not only as a CFL staff member, but as someone that grew up in Sunset Park. I came to this country when I was 14 years old. And I remember not looking for a high school to go. And my mom had to find friends to get an address. Where am I going to send my daughter that is safe? A new immigrant, 14 years old, that didn't speak English, that needed to find a place to get an education. So when I started working at CFL and seeing everything that they were doing for the community, I needed to be a part of that. I've been a member of CFL staff for the past 20 years, and I love it. I love the community. I love everything that CFL represents, and I definitely love the school because I wanted to go and I didn't get a chance to. So I hope that everything gets worked out and that things look better, because I can't imagine to have a high school where the community does not come first. So, thank you.
Okay, who's next? Sorry, you don't want to raise your hand? Oh, yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Joe Tarlo, in 259 73rd Street. I'm a teacher at Sunset Park High School. I'm also a member of the athletic department as one of the coaches. Brian predates me by a couple of months, but I'm also a founding staff member of the school. Sat in meetings before the school opened about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Had many meetings with Julie. One of my initial roles in the school was as a chapter leader, so Julie and I worked extremely closely together, especially as related to the community schools initiative that was put forth that hasn't been heard of in 10 years. I think the biggest thing for me that's a little disappointing, and honestly, I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, and then something Julie said. I can't remember the last time that I was told SPHS stood for something. It was initial. The success for all. I just don't, now that you say it, I remember it. But that has not been said. That has not been said in a very long time. That those initials mean and stand for something and mean something and are the reason why we maybe didn't name it after a person. And it's named after the community in which it's supposed to represent. I think it's extremely telling about where we are and where we're going. I couldn't agree with Brian more. I think our school is good. I do. I love it. I think our school is great. I think our school will be better. I think that our involvement with CFL, which was a cornerstone and foundational part of what we do, has been cut in half at best, cut in half, if not less than half of its involvement that it used to be. And the amount, I mean, I hear what you say about, that you guys end up doing a lot of the instruction. Obviously as an educator, I take some, I'm not thrilled by that statement. However, I know that we count on CFL for tutoring. I know that we count on CFL for help. I know we count on CFL to make sure our kids get something to eat in the afternoon. So they're ready to go on to a club. They're ready to go on to a team. They're ready to participate in something else. Or just go home to their families that maybe don't have that at home. And I know that CFL is part of that organizing structure. And that's what lost. So I think those two things are what I want to kind of highlight. The idea that those 8 or 9 principles that you talk about are just, we're not holding ourselves accountable to them. And that when you blew me away with SPHS actually having, I don't remember that, yet I remember it so clearly when we started this 14 years ago. It was on the wall, it was discussed at every meeting, it was a part of who we were, and it's not.
Okay, who's next? Please, go ahead. Oh, Laura. Y lo quieres decir en español y yo te lo traduzco. Yeah.
Buenas tardes. Soy madre de estudiantes de este año se gradúa mi hija.
Déjame ir traduciendo para que no se me vaya a olvidar. I'm a mother who has a daughter in Sunset Park High School. There you go. I mean, who's graduated? Very important detail, of course. Go ahead.
Vengo como no sabía lo que está pasando, no sabía de esta reunión, nunca se comunicaron a los padres, nunca se comunicaron. Esto frente a mi ver, educadores, miembros de la comunidad, está pasando entonces. 4 años, 3 años en pandemia, 2 años casi en pandemia, desde que pasamos, yo pasaba igual, hasta el día de hoy son virtuales, reuniones. Nunca he tenido la oportunidad de conocer a los maestros como siempre lo hago en cada mis hijos. Tengo cuatro hijos, uno graduado.
Okay, so there's already a lot that has been said. So I'm here and as a mom and disappointed at the fact that there was no public outreach for this meeting. And I've been a mom for the last 3 years during the pandemic. I haven't had a chance to meet with educators at all because of the pandemic, because a lot of things are virtual. And continue.
Hace breve. Eso no pasa. Yo como madre, no, Britney, estoy hablando fuera de Britney, no me dio permiso. Yo hablo como madre, como lo que yo sentí.
And so I'm going to speak as a mother. Brittany didn't actually give me permission to speak, but I'm speaking as the mom. Okay.
Que valga 2 veces por emergencia. La ansiedad que tenía en high school es difícil.
Having to take my child to emergency twice for anxiety for being in the high school is not okay.
Pedí hablar con los maestros, con la directora, hablamos para solucionar, ver una solución. Yo no voy contra las escuelas, nunca. Yo siempre busco una plática para llegar a un acuerdo.
So I requested a meeting with teachers and to find some solutions. I'm solutions oriented. I wanted to have a dialogue and a conversation about solutions.
No estoy en contra de la señora Antonini. Hemos trabajado juntos. Ella es una excelente.
I am not against the principal, Ms. Antonini. She has done a wonderful job and I support her.
Pero a veces la seguridad física en el building era un poco. No tenían acceso a los baños, las peleas eran. Y mi preocupación como madre, ver todas las cosas que estaban pasando, no solamente en Nueva York, me llevó a momentos de decir, quiero una reunión sobre la seguridad de mi hija.
I constantly worry about the security issues at the high school, the lack of certain amenities like the bathroom. And with everything that's going on in general in schools, I feel very concerned about my daughter's safety and education. And the fights, and lots of fights in the high school.
Yo busqué apoyo, busqué trabajar, traté de buscar una solución, hablando, nunca llegar a algo. Pero esto ocasiona salir de control cuando las escuelas dan libertad a los jóvenes, no ponen reglas. Esto empezó, yo tampoco sabía de las protestas, yo tampoco sabía de lo que hicieron de la escuela. Nunca supimos nada cuando yo vi por medios sociales que pusieron. No se debe llegar a esto si desde un comienzo, cuando ustedes hacen un gabinete, hay reglas. Si en la escuela hay reglas, los niños no pueden salir de la vida. Pero ahora todo esto empezó cuando la directora quiso poner reglas en la escuela.
So I want to emphasize that what I think is happening here is the fact that Ms. Antonini wanted to enforce rules and regulations. And there seems to be folks against that idea of enforcing rules and regulations, and that provides a lot of freedom and liberty to children, and that creates scenarios that are a little bit chaotic. Continue to emphasize that I'm concerned about my daughter's well-being in the high school.
Es difícil para un maestro, porque hoy en día los jóvenes sinceramente no hay control. Y la verdad siempre he dicho, los maestros son los segundos padres.
So I believe that teachers are like second parents to our students, and that it's their responsibility to help maintain control of the students.
Quisiera dar mucho, pero esto debe haber una solución. Y también poner reglas antes de que empiece. Que esto no pase, poner reglas cuando empiezan en la escuela y que todos los papás poner a los papás que sean responsables. Porque hemos buscado soluciones.
So my recommendation is that the rules be communicated effectively to students as well as parents at the beginning of the school year, and that the rules and regulations are actually enforced. Okay, gracias, Laura. Thank you, Laura. Okay, let's move on. Anybody else? So I'm going to recognize you. I think she beats by a millisecond. I'll recognize you. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Heidi Acevedo. I am a committee member as well as a student, class of 2014 at Sunset Park High School, as well as an employee of Central Family Practice, and I hold an MSO Hunter. And I'm saying all of that, I wouldn't be here for CFL. Being the second graduating class, I remember walking down the halls and seeing the advisors greeting you, talking to you about what college you're going to go to, talking to you about the after school programs that were happening. I remember I come from parents who are undocumented. I think I forgot to say history. But I come from undocumented parents who had to work several jobs. I remember CFL being that safe haven and introducing me to many things, such as I think it was Explore NYC, taking us to different places in the city, such as like Central Park, right? That seems so normal to do that I didn't have the access to working. And I remember being a student who was a little troublesome and wanted to hang out and wanted to do all these things. But CFL always was that safe haven that kind of reeled me back in and was just like, hey, no, how about you try this program? How about you do this? Join Sunset Park Leaders. And I think that knowing how things are going with our principal, Ms. Antonini, it feels like there's no spirit in the high school anymore. It feels like there is no communication among advisors and the teachers. There's a huge disconnect. I feel like children are less engaged, and I think it's maybe because CFL is not as involved. So this is kind of out, maybe a cry out for help, and access to more Center for Family Life, longer advice, more of a transparent communication with principal, parents, and students. And I think that it kind of hurts to be up here and see the way the dynamics have changed throughout the school year. I personally am not at the Sunset Park High School right now, but I am seeing how much it affects colleagues, how much it affects teachers, and the students, most important, right? They are the future of tomorrow. Sounds cliche. When I was hearing it, I'm saying it now, but I will say that it really has shaped me as an individual and who I am. So I definitely would really appreciate, hearing everyone else out and their opinions. But I definitely think that there needs to be a change. We need to move back and focus and put CFL on the core of our high school and the things that we are going about our education. So again, concerned community member, and really hope that we can move towards a positive direction. So thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Do I have to stand up?
You don't have to say, oh, no.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna. I'm actually a newly appointed community board member, so I'm happy that I made it here today. So first, just a thought off topic. For the speaking time, I know it's 3 minutes, but for translation, I think it should be more.
It's not 3 minutes, you're board member.
Oh, no, oh, okay, but I need for the public, for translation. Because. Time is
Oh, it's been translated.
Oh, okay, awesome. Okay, so I actually came here as a newly board member, but also because my son attends, he is 958. So I was excited about the naming as well. And also just want to give a shout out to the amazing principal. She's super involved. My son hasn't actually like advocating. Also, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I'm also an NYU doctor candidate. For the social workers. So I did want to share because I didn't know what was going on in Sunset Park High School. I feel so bad about that. Because actually 9 years ago, I actually worked in the Center for Family Life as case planner. And I remember that they had an opportunity for us, on top of doing case planning, to go into the schools and do advisory for a period or two. I think I did it 2 times a week. And of course, I volunteered because I grew up in Sunset Park. I love I went to school, but I came back because this is what I think. And I do remember how like Sunset for Family Life was so attached to the high school. And so now it's like so saddening to hear that they're not anymore. And I'm sure it's not what they want to, right? So I hope that, I'm glad that this is happening and that our councilwoman is here to hear and that we can all work together to get high school back to its regular scheduled programming.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, anybody else want to speak up? Please, Karen in the back.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Morta. I'm now because I have a 1.5-year-old who is getting in. I am born and raised in Sunset Park and currently SYD program director at Center for Family Life. And I am actually someone who works at Park High School. That's where I'm based. I've been at Sunset Park High School for 13. And I remember being so excited because I was also in high school on the task force with Julie Stein Brockway and a bunch of other peers of mine. I was one of the students singing on the street, basically. And so it's really disappointing that I feel like I don't even know some of the teachers who are here because that partnership no longer exists the way that it used to. First day of school used to be one of my favorite events. I call it an event. We used to greet all of the ninth graders, make name tags, individualized by community, by color. And this year, specifically, we were prepped and ready to go the night before, and then the last day of was told, no, I'm doing this. We don't need any of your name tags. We're gonna do them. And it was hard because now as a parent, I would love for teachers and staff and communities who work in the building to greet my kids that way. And I don't know. I used to feel really proud. I used to know probably like 90% of the teachers. Advisory is not what it used to be. I don't make connections with my students anymore because curriculum is cut and curriculum for advisory doesn't allow currently to build the relationships that we used to in the past. And it's really quite sad because like Taide was saying, we used to be able to like put in every single student. Hey, where are you going? I know you. Here, let me talk to you. Hey, I think this program suits you. Hey, come do this, come do that. And more like individualized after school opportunities for each of the youth. And that is not something that we're able to do now because we're in the classrooms, but because our curriculum and the way that we build community in the school has been taken away. And we're just hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And it's very disheartening, sad that I was super excited as a high schooler to advocate for high school in my community. That is not at all what I advocated for. And I don't know, I don't know what goes to Central Park High School because that's not what I've advocated for. So thank you.
Yeah. And a special shout out and thank you for being here tonight with your daughter and experience. Okay. And then I'll recognize next. Okay, give me a second.
I am sitting here as a long time member. The beginnings of Central Park High School task force. I remember Julie as a family. I'm sitting here like, what the hell is going on? This is all new to me, so forgive me. So maybe someone could give me some context as to what happened with CFL. Was this due to the pandemic? I mean, what's happening? Someone?
Okay, so you're next. Yeah, right there with the yellow shirt, mustard shirt.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Shanice Peters. I'm a social worker. I hold an MS at Fordham University, and I'm also part of the first graduating class in Central Park. And, one of the greatest pleasures is also working for Center for Family Life. And I started as a nervous freshman student at Central Park High School in 2009, not knowing what my future had ahead of me, what I was going to be, what I was going to do. And one of the best times of my life was all 4 years at that school. And a lot of it was because of teachers. Many of these teachers didn't even that I recognized from seeing in the halls. I knew Taide when we were both at school together, and we participated in many activities all because of Center for Family Life. And I knew that once I was going through high school, I wasn't done being connected to this community. I didn't grow up. This became a second home. All my friends, best friends were here, and the kids that I currently work with, they work with middle school. They need so much to be, and a lot of them are becoming eighth graders who are figuring out where they're going next. And a lot of them are looking at Central Park High School, and I remember telling them the fondest stories of all my years there, how much I participated in every activity. I was booked 5 days a week. I was doing everything possible. I was really excelling in my academics, which is something I was never, I was never able to do before I was at Sunset Park High School. And I graduated with doing well academically, and all my extracurriculars supported me in my growth to me to come back and to want to be a staff member to help that next generation of kids. A lot of my middle school students who just found out what school they're going to and learned they're going to Sunset Park High School because they heard what's been going on in the school and hearing from teachers and hearing from parents. And it's so hard. And I work with high school students as well, and those high school students who are working to become our next leaders in this community go to that school and we start to have conversations with them. They're like, well, that doesn't exist there anymore. That doesn't happen there anymore. And they don't feel fulfilled in high school, which breaks my heart because that's something I always felt when I went there. And knowing that there hasn't been all these kept promises, we really spoke about what the school was founded on, and Ignite the fire in my soul that I never felt in so many years because I've been hearing how this school has just been breaking down slowly. And so all I want is for my students, for this community, for all the students in this community to have a high school experience that I had, that was this school was based and founded on. And we need to bring that back. And it really is just devastating that the community has lost this high school opportunity that they really found just falling apart. So I really just urge there to be something done about this and for our students to have the school and the community to have the school they all promised to work for. Thank you.
So someone else had their hand raised back there? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Stacey Foreman, I'm the school counselor at Sunset Park High School. And I think my students are sitting here before me. So I feel really bad in this moment. It's where they are. But I'm here tonight because I came here 14 years ago when I heard about Sunset Park High School starting, and I said that is the type of program that I want to be part of. That's the kind of school that I want to be part of. And I came to this meeting to get my interview so that I could work at this school. And it was a long process. It took me like a whole year before I could get hired, but I started the first year of the school and I consider myself a founding member. And it means a lot to me. And I wanted to be in a place where they had wraparound services and that we were bringing the community in, and that was, you know, there weren't those boundaries that existed, that kids felt welcome and like they had a place to be and that they had activities to take part in. And I have to say, like, I feel so lucky that this has been my career so far. My 14 years with the school, I've been so proud to be part of it. And I've worked with so many people from CFL that are here and others who aren't, that have just been amazing partners. And I just want to make sure that it's clear that we're here as a staff to, you know, so that you all know as a community what's going on, but also that we also want CFL to be part of our school. This partnership matters to us, and you know, we feel like our hands are tied in so many ways, mostly just because of one person. You know, we need strong leadership. There's so many confident people who would love to lead our school. Our school has made so many leaders. So many people have gone on and become principals, assistant superintendents, because they learn from the best and we learn from each other. So I'm here because we want that partnership back. We want to feel motivated. We want to feel, you know, that our students feel like they belong and know what we stand for. And a lot of that just comes from the top. We need a strong leader, and all of this could be it could be such a great school again, you know, and we really want that. And that's why we're here appealing to the community so that everyone else becomes aware of what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, yeah.
Hello, my name is Colin Marshall, 112 Minna Street, and I'm probably addicted to Sunset Park High School. I say that because I met my husband at Sunset Park High School. My best friend who married us also works at Sunset Park High School. I rent an apartment owned by payroll secretary at Sunset Park High School. Oh, my life is just very Sunset Park High School centric.
Sunset Park love story.
And we're option here for a Netflix series. Me too. No, I say all this to say that, since I started working at SPHS, I think CFL has always been, part of what I think of when I think of SPHS. I've been working with like the Lifelines Arts program for, I don't know, too long. Like, I'm very old, like the 9 years or something. I go on 2 camping trips a year, mostly for free with them. And it's because I believe so hard in like what CFL stands for Sunset Park High School and like what the program has done for the community. I believe so hard in like what advisory means at Sunset Park High School and what I've seen advisory do for my students. And I just think when I think of Sunset Park High School, it's just like CFL goes hand in hand with that. And it's a real shame that it feels like in 2023, in this day and age, they're being more and more kind of like pushed to the corners when I think now more than ever they need to be centered in like what we're doing with students, because I just, and witness to the value that they add to our school.
That's it for that. And then I'll recognize the gentleman next to you, your best friend.
Yeah, I'm an ordained minister, so if anybody wants to, anybody's getting married. My name is Vincent. Teacher also at Sunset Park High School. I live in Coney Island, 92 Bay 43. I've been there for about as long as Colin. I came the year after he started working. And I want to be quick. I was our school's chapter leader, UFT chapter leader during the height of the pandemic. And people during this meeting have been mentioning advisory. Twice a week, our students meet in somewhat of a non-academic setting with teachers and typically staff members from CFL, who, by the way, oftentimes are more representative of Sunset Park's community than its teaching staff. CFL hires our students, CFL helps our students find internships, and CFL connects our students with the greater community. So that's a little bit non sequitur. Anyway, so height of the pandemic, advisory became virtual like everything else. And as the chapter leader, I assumed that advisory would continue to feature CFL's partnership, which is crucial and something that the students really appreciate about our school. I spent the better part of a week during virtual Zoom school begging our principal to allow CFL staff back into the virtual advisory setting. And so to punctuate this anecdote, at the height of the pandemic, our principal was trying to remove CFL's influence and collaboration from the advisory setting. And I'm certainly not telling the story to make myself seem like some kind of a hero. I was really acting on behalf of our staff that was terrified. I'm not being histrionic at the thought of losing CFL's partnership at that time, but also the sense that there was an opportunistic, there's a sense that there was an opportunity, a sense that our leadership was attempting to use the situation to remove CFL's influence from the school. And so there might be some changes coming to Sunset. There have been changes over the past few years. And we're here, I think, because we really want CFL to have a seat at the table, perhaps the seat at the table. And we want their partnership and collaboration back. And we've been fighting for it. And the needle hasn't moved. And so that's why we're here.
Thank you. Okay, I'll recognize Julia and then the young lady with the beige shirt. Julia.
Hi, my name is Julia. I live in Staten Island, 62 Marion Avenue, and I'm Julie's work wife. Since the beginning, 14 years ago, we made a strategic decision that Julie could focus an enormous amount of her effort and an enormous amount of the effort, Joanna pointed to it, of staff that were not in any way attached to the high school, were attached to many other programs, CS programs, feeding programs, etc. And it was a joy to us to have staff from around CFL become completely involved with understanding the mission and purposes of this really important educational institution. And I just think that, speaking as a person who runs the building programs, as we refer to them, we extended for 14 years, not just the partnership with the school, but the partnership with our adult employment program, our Action NYC immigration law, our wage and hour laws program, our landlord tenant service, ESOL, trauma treatment, child maltreatment. How many times have we extended the expertise of program folks from everywhere in Seattle to support the teachers, the students, and the entire enterprise of the school? I'm not aware of community-based organization or somebody else investing all of its programs in something so critical to the community. I don't want to sound crazy, but we invest over $1 million in private foundation funding in this every single year. That's a decision for 14 years. That's a strategic decision about Julie and I spend our time and what's our priority. It's incomprehensible to me that there would be, we're respected by the hospitals, by the council. It's incomprehensible to me that we would be seen as not having a value, any value at all to the community. And I'm puzzled. I don't understand what the motivation is about for all the years of a steady presence, offering positivity and time and barbecues and warm welcomes and confetti, you name it. Sky's the limit. Julie has rubber chickens in her office. No, anything. How are we not desirable partner? And I just
Okay, young lady with the, your turn.
Hi, Rachel Dooley, just what's my address? 6735 Ridge Boulevard. I just moved closer to the school, so as a ninth grade teacher at Sunset Park High School, I am hoping that we can get whatever act needs to get back together because it has been a bizarre ride. I'm originally from Tennessee, got there for 10 years, moved here. This was the first school that I managed to get a job at. Nice white lady that I am, I was like, why? Why did they hire me? I don't speak two languages, but I am so honored that I made it before because I love it. Like, I love the school. Just being in this room tonight is just like, oh my God, so many people with so many talents and abilities that care about what is happening, that want to know. And I feel like as a DOE employee, sometimes it's hard to speak about what we see and what to change and what we want to change. I was hired in 2015, and I can say that when I started in 2015, the slew of very talented educators, I worked with some of the most on-fire talented people I can ever imagine working with. It's been 10 years in Tennessee. I did not see the fire. It's amazing. The links that people will go to in that building for the kids, and the kids know it. The kids absolutely know it. But from 2015 to now, the structures that were in place that might have been there in 2015, I've watched the structures just kind of erode and fall apart. And it's been really, really sad to see that. So Center for Family Life is definitely a big key part of what's eroding, but it's not the thing. There are structures within how our school is programmed that aren't working, that led to a massive restructuring of teaching staff and students in April. That should not be happening. I am not paid six figures. I am not the person at the top who makes the decisions on which teachers go where. But those decisions need to be made better and for the kids. Because once they get to my room, they know they're going to get what they need with me. But I can't give them what they need in the right setting, in the right classroom. And that first day of school that she was talking about, I was one of the ninth grade teachers going, what is going on? We used to receive 2 days before school started, we received a binder with all of our lessons for advisory for the year, Center for Family Life, planned out to the team by social workers who know the developmental stages of kids, who know what's going to work for a ninth grade kid on the first day and on the second day, And that was a beautiful thing to have because I came from a place where we had advisory at my old school where they just stopped the room and said, make sure they graduate. You know, this is different and it should, and to watch that, the binders disappear, the CFL staff not be there on the first day where they wanted to be and not be allowed into those spaces. And that's not the only thing.
Thank you. Okay, gentleman in the back, and then we'll recognize the young lady on the side there. And I'm sorry, did I miss you? I'm sorry, you should go. Let her go first. I think I missed her right there. Yep.
Hello. My name is Mireya Martinez. I live at 7411 Avenue. I am part of the first graduating class of high school. I am also going, I'm in social work school right now, finishing my first year. And I work at Sunset Park High School, and I've been there for 7 years now, working with the Center for Family Life, and I have seen what their program and how the teachers have shaped who I am as a student, as a person in the community. I was born and raised in Sunset Park, so it's such an honor to be working there now, see students who I can empathize with because I live in this community. And it saddens me to hear that, you know, students like Brittany who have such anxiety, you know, Brittany's not the only one who feels like that. There are so many students who go understand that are or experiencing feelings like this. And, you know, as I'm hearing everyone talk, I think about the major issues that we have with this. We have students who are leaving in the middle of the day, it's 1 p.m. and they're walking out those doors. Some are coming in at 1 p.m. To go to 1 or 2 periods. And it breaks my heart because I know ever since the pandemic, you know, the attendance rates have dropped. And there are several reasons for that, but I like to believe that one of them is because of the partnership that the school has with CFL isn't as strong. I am a product of what it means to have a strong community being partnered with the high school, and I don't see it anymore. And I think about our staff too at Sunset Park High School who are always cut off of things we can and cannot do. I often find myself asking my supervisor, "Oh, is this okay for me to do?" Because I don't want to upset the principal. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want our staff to do that anymore. I want this to be like it used to be, the true partnership. So please help us. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll just pass it over to. There we go.
Hi, my name's Christine Mansell, Center for Family Life. I live at 587 Carroll Street, I've worked in this community for Center for Family Life for 20 years. I started doing at PS1 Beacon in the neighborhood center programs, and I worked with teams who would have been outside and they came in, and it was amazing working with teams, getting them to be in basketball leagues and teams and leadership programs and SYP with us. And then when I would talk to them and they were superstars in our programs, and I'd say, "How you to school?" And it was awful. "And where do you go to school?" "Over here, over there." Like, and I couldn't get through the red tape to help them be successful in school the way they were in our after school evening programs. When we were starting to open Sunset Park High School, I went to Julie and I said, "I want to work at the high school." And she's like, "All right, it's going to be really hard. You're going to work really long hours. We're going to keep our promise, and we're going to do this for the community." And we have our promise of the financial money for the programs, of the staffing, of the heart, and the commitment. We were there. We do the barbecues, the welcome backs, knowing what kids need on the first day of school to feel comfortable and safe and belong and show up and stay every day. We have been there, and it was amazing in the beginning. All these people talking about the beginning, and we got to talk to each other and share our practices, our perspectives, and our resources. I am now told I may not
email other people in the school any resources or information. Do not talk to the staff of Santa Barbara High School. Do not email them. I am not allowed to share resources or referrals or best practices. I'm a social worker in this community for 20 years, representing Santa Barbara Family Life. I've been in the school since it opened, and our hands are now tied that we can't do the best work on behalf of students. Every year, I'm shockingly surprised at what wonderful staff are still here, and that we're bleeding talented teachers. We're lucky that teachers are staying, and we're not doing the best on behalf of students if we can't talk to each other, collaborate, and bring the community resources into the school. A school doesn't work in isolation. A school is part of the community, not a building that happens to be on a certain block. And I'd like us to be part of being a community school again.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Anna. I'm also an alumni from Sunset High School. I was, I believe, the third or fourth graduating class, and so I can definitely say that I do advisory now in the high school, and it's not the same how it was when I was a student. I have seen like the strong impact that CFL has had, and I've seen the strong impact, the longevity of these teachers that still have been here, has students, that has me, and I can definitely say that the school and CFL has been like a very deep backbone of like my growth as a person. And just to hear that something like this is going on, it's like very frustrating, and I'm seeing it in real time. And I see it in the students' faces and their motivation. Like I go in every Tuesday, Thursday, trying to bring that energy to the students, trying to ask them how you're doing, what you're looking forward to, and I just hear crickets. And that's not how it was before. I know me as a student, I'm remembering how advisory was. We had games, we had like the barbecues, as many people are saying, the very like welcoming activities was pretty much what made me feel comfortable. So like knowing that that's not as often, that lack of cohesion is just really frustrating to hear. So just overall, I just remember as well, like starting in CFL, I originally was like, no, I don't want to go to it. It's a new school. I don't know what I'm looking to. I don't know what to expect, but like having the school being a welcoming environment, it kind of changed my mind. I was like halfway through my first year, I was just like, this because I'm gonna go into like after school. I didn't go in, thank you. I didn't go into after school until my second year because my first year was very shy. But then I went into it and I just saw like it brings the community, it brings the students together. And some of the people that are sitting here I've known for many years as well. And Julia has seen me grow. A lot of people here have seen me grow. So it's frustrating just to hear how it's the lack of motivation is happening in the school. I just hope that things can get better. Thank you.
Thank you. The gentleman in the back here, thank you, I'm sorry about that. We gotta wait for you. Robert and Justwitz, 260 Gold Street. And it was kind of brought to the point of like, how did we kind of gotten here? And I think there's always been, I've worked with Vicky Antonini in many different settings within the school. And I can just attest to how difficult it is to get certain things done. And I think that many people feel the, use that expression, their hands are tied a lot of times. And that's true. And I think like the experience that CFO was talking about with the curriculum was especially jarring this year, that we had professionals in the building who were trying to help our students being told the things that they weren't allowed to do. And you could see it was apparently present in our meetings with them, how, you know, just the fear and the worry about saying the wrong thing. And that is not the way that the teachers have welcomed CFL, but that is the way that our principal made them feel. And that was a real feeling that we
in our circles, we discussed with them to help them, invite them and let them know that we are part of it. And I've worked at the school for about 10 years now. I've been an educator for about 15. And I can say that like, I really love this school and this community and what the good parts of it have brought. And it's really concerning to see, especially not just how people are feeling now, but because those feelings have been there for a while, but they come to a point in which why we're here, right? And it's concerning because I think seeing the health of the school, we all want it to be the place where we're reaching every single student and every child. My previous teaching experience was in GD. I taught a lot of those students who fell between the cracks or whatever. And so part of, I have a very big attachment to making sure that students don't fall through those cracks. And I think the community model, what Sunset Park has stood for, the reason why, at least when I got there 10 years ago, really spoke to me about how we're going to approach education in the building. And so it's very difficult because I think CFL has done everything that they can on their part. And it's concerning to see how they've been roadblocked at times because I still see all that potential. There are a lot of great teachers there who really want to do a lot of great things. And so, but there's one person who's really standing in the way, and I'd say that having worked in many different capacities with her within the building, that it's just been very, very difficult. Thank you.
Sure. So we are well past an hour, and I just wanted to make sure we get everyone, but I also wanted to keep a check on the time. Anyone else? I'm sorry, did you? Yeah, come on up.
Chair Lisa. So thank you. I just want to let everyone know that I have talked to students in the student government. I've talked to parents, staff over a good long period of time, and to partners. And the situation, as characterized it, is very concerning. And I just want you to know that I am committed, as the long history before me, to making sure that this school holds the promise by which it was founded and centers our students and our educators. And obviously the kids first. And so I just want to publicly say that to you again. These processes are really painfully long, but I want you to know that you have my commitment. I have heard your voices. I would like to continue to invite any voice into obviously reaching our offices, including students who came to our office and have been coming to our office individually and collectively to voice their concerns. So I just wanted to let you know that we are committed to fighting for the school to make it all that it can be and hold its full glory and promise, because our community has fought for it and will continue to fight for it way past all of our tenures. So we're committed to that. And I want to thank CFL and all of you. This is not an easy thing to do, to stand up and speak your truth. We know all the possibilities of that. It is not easy for the children or the parents. But you are all leading by example, and hopefully what we can all demonstrate to these young people who are there, past, present, and future, and so much social work. I did. Is that we're committed to moving through a process, and that how challenging it's going to be, that we are, and we will hold to account everyone that needs to be held to account, and fight for the promise of the school. So I just wanted to say that to you all, and thank you for holding this time and space for everyone here. And please come and let our office know if there is any way we can also be. There are many layers to this, and I think a lot of fires burning at the same time. So thank you, Chair.
You bet. I would add social workers of color I've been in the education, early childhood space for a long time. And I can't tell you how overjoyed I am to hear that there's about 4 of you who stood up and said either you're a social worker or becoming a social worker. I cannot, and a PhD, I cannot emphasize the need that we have in our community for people who look like us to offer people of color the help that they need. So overjoyed. Sure, absolutely. So, couple of things, because I know the time is getting, I'm going to speak as a dad right now. And I'm also going to speak as sort of someone who has been and was at the receiving end of some pretty valuable or shitty education because of the white supremacy, because of the discriminatory practices within our education. I'm someone who went to high school in the 80s and 90s. And we've come a long way, right? And I think education reformers, and I consider myself one of those folks, we have understood that leadership matters in education. Leadership matters a lot, and not in the sort of the traditional way that we think about leadership. Like I'm the boss, I'm going to talk. In having leaders who are transforming, who are about facilitation, about bringing people together, not about dictating what goes on in this in a school building. So, from my perspective, leadership matters. But the other thing that we have discovered through lots of research and inquiry is that communities matter to schools. Possibly even more than the one leader, right? Like, so, I've known CFL for now over a decade. I've worked with Julia on a whole bunch of different things in this community. And I can't think of an organization who has a bigger commitment to actualizing this idea, this amazing idea to have a school center the community's voice, center the community's wishes, right? And so I've been hearing things that are really upsetting to me, again, as someone who has been on the receiving end of discriminatory education. That's not what's happening here, right? Well, it sounds like now it is. And also as a dad who has a kid in middle school and about to transition into high school, we have gone out of our way to find educational contexts that value social and emotional learning through these assemblies that you guys are talking about. I can't tell you how much the idea of centering social and emotional education means to me, particularly at the high school level, at the middle school level, right? So I'm hearing you, I'm seeing you, and I want to just reiterate what the council member said. We're here to support in any way that we can, and I'm glad the council member stuck through the whole meeting because it really gave her an opportunity to listen to what's happening. And I think we're going to try to figure out together with our office and the community board what's possible here, right? Again, it's very complicated. There's a personnel issue here, and but I think we're all committed to the same idea of making sure that we hang on to such a critical asset that we fought so hard for. So with that, I'm going to leave it there and just have our chair close us out.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say a couple of things. I worked in an alternative high school program for over a decade, and I see one of my students here, former students who graduated, and I believe is now an employee of CFL. This is not an isolated issue. When you have leaders in school buildings who do not believe in the mission and value of the work that community-based nonprofits do, it doesn't just hurt the culture of your school, it hurts the success of your student. And when Christy said she's not allowed to email school staff, that really, it brought me back to the, and I'm gonna give you a very specific date, September 9th, 2015. I was the program director of the alternative high school program at that time. And I was told the exact same thing from the assistant principal of our program, who essentially was the principal for all intents and purposes. I was told I was not allowed to email teachers, and that I had to, all communication must go through the assistant principal, and had to be screened before going to teachers. And we were supposed to run advisories. And all that does is hurt student success. How can we ensure students are succeeding, that they're doing the things that they need to do, the things that they're supposed to be doing, supporting students, if we're not working collaboratively? And if the person at the top doesn't believe in the value and mission of the work that you're doing, the only people that it hurts are students. And it really, when I started learning all of and hearing stories, it got a little emotional for me because I lived all of this for like 3 years at this program, and I will make this my mission because I've lived it, and I know what is possible on the other side, because I've seen people like Mitzi graduate from a program with good leadership, and I know what this school is capable of, and I know what this community is capable of, and we deserve better. So I appreciate everyone who has spoken their truth. And I know that there is a diversity of opinions of what we want from this school, but what we all can agree is that this school was built on an agreement that it is a community school. And I think what we can agree is that right now, this is not a community school. And that needs to change.
Thank you, everyone. Y'all have been awesome. I mean, I really appreciate everyone speaking their minds and being respectful and listening to one another. So I will follow up with Julie and Julia, through Julio as well, and we'll figure out some next steps, and maybe, we can engage the councilwoman's office as well and try to figure out what's possible. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes, with that, the meeting is over. Adjourned.
So I don't know.